Okay, so welcome parents and families of Carl Harvey Elementary School. Today we're going to be talking about helping your child through grief and loss. Now, I know many of us have experienced different types of grief and loss, especially in the last 2 years. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. First, we're going to do a little introductions. I'll go ahead and go first. I'm Amy Argo. I'm one of the counselors here at Carl Harvey. And just a little bit about myself. I recently graduated from the University of Laverne, where I got my master's degree in educational counseling. And my co-counselor is Monica Bocanegra, if she'd like to chime in and introduce herself.
Yes, thank you, Amy. So my name is Monica Bocanegra. I am also a school counselor here at Carl Harvey. I'm very excited to be here. Just like Ms. Argo, I graduated from University of Laverne with my master's in school counseling, with the emphasis in bilingual bicultural certification. I'll pass it on to Anna.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Vichis. I am the FACE liaison here at Harvey Elementary School. I've been here for 2 years already, and I'm also an SAUSD graduate. I went to Greenville Elementary, MacArthur, and I graduated from Saddleback High School. From there, I went to UC Berkeley, and I've been working in community organizations and nonprofits since then, and up until 2019 when I started working at the school district.
Fantastic. Thank you guys for introducing yourself. So first, I just want to go ahead and cover the different types of grief and loss. Many people just think of grief and loss as a death in the family or a death of a friend. However, our children and you as well can experience many different types of grief. A few examples include a parent or family member that moves away. Maybe that's from divorce or separation or moving for a job. Children can experience a sense of loss even if a parent starts a new job and they're not at home as often. Other types of loss that students can experience are maybe a friend switching schools. Our students may even experience a sense of loss when they move on to middle school after 5th grade. So there are many different types of loss that they can face. So as we go into these ways to help your child through it, please keep this in mind. It can look different for everybody. So the number one step to caring for your children in the midst of grief and loss is to take care of yourself first. It can be like the picture says, you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to take care of yourself first. And, caring for yourself looks different for many people, but some basics to keep in mind are eating healthy meals, getting some type of movement every day, even if it's walking, and sticking to your regular routine. Not only will that help you, but it will help your child because children tend to thrive with structure, especially when they're going through some sort of crisis or loss. And also sleep. Sleep is very important. Going to bed at the same time each night, waking up at the same time each morning, getting enough hours of sleep. The second way that you can care for your child in the midst of grief and loss is to be honest with them. Discussing whichever event that might be causing that grief in a clear, simple way can help them to better understand it. And your children will benefit from hearing the truth from someone they know and love. And yeah, that's really important to not, cover things up or sugarcoat things, but just explaining what happened in a simple way can really go a long way with your kids. So the third step to caring for your children during a loss is to listen to them, giving them space to talk about how they're feeling or asking questions, even just they might be wondering what is happening or what happened. So practice active listening, like you see in the photo here, getting on their eye level, looking them in the eye, nodding your head, showing them that you're actively listening and hearing what they say. And if you don't know the answer to a question that they're asking, don't be afraid to tell them that you don't know. And maybe you will never know the answer to the question, or maybe you can take a moment to seek out the answer for yourself. Next one is to acknowledge your child's grief. It's normal for kids to, experience the wide array of different emotions that come with grief. They might be more irritable than normal. They might be angry or sad. Sometimes they might even laugh. It's important to recognize that grief it comes in waves, and the emotions might be up and down. And it's also important for you to recognize that your kids will grieve in their own way. Everybody grieves differently. And on the third point there, like I said earlier, it's typical for children to go in and out of grief. So you might see them one moment crying, feeling just deep sorrow, and the next moment they're laughing at a funny joke. And that's completely normal. And it's important to remember that. And I think it's important to remember that just like crying, laughter can have a similar release. And so allowing your children to experience the full range of emotions during this time is particularly important. And if you're not sure if or how your child is grieving, take time to play with them and let them share stories. Let them talk things through. And typically that will help you get certain clues as to how they might be feeling. And this is related to the fifth point, which is to share. So share stories with your kids. Like if you've experienced a friend moving away, maybe that's what your child is experiencing now, tell them about it. It helps to normalize their experience, and it helps to humanize you, them as their, you as your, as their parent. They look up to you guys, and they'll really take in what you have to say. And maybe you've lost a loved one when you were a child. Telling that story could also be helpful. So those are the first 5. Anna's going to take over for the second half. And please, if you have any questions, feel free to comment down in the YouTube comments, or you can reach out to us via email or phone. All right.
Okay, so the next, number 6, we have be creative. So creativity is a really good way for children and adults alike to express themselves and process their grief. So some of the things and activities that you could do with your child are drawing. We have a lot of students here at Harvey that love drawing. Any sort of art, drawing, painting, if they like to write, if they have a journal that they write in every day, or if they're into creative writing as well, that's also a good outlet. Arts and crafts, listening to music or playing music if they like to sing, if they like to create their own songs, or if they know how to play musical instruments, as well as playing games, board games, Uno, Monopoly, any games that they like to play. And you can do this as a family or also individually if they like to do puzzles and other activities like that. Number 7, maintain clear expectations. So make sure that you're keeping your rules and boundaries consistent with what you normally expect of your child. And this is because kids tend to feel secure when they already know what expectations you have of them. So even though they are going through, and you are also going through a difficult time when you're grieving and you lose someone that's important to you, try to maintain your routine as much as possible, and make sure that your expectations are clear as well, so that your children know what to do, that they know and understand what your expectations are. Children can also, oh, sorry, can you go back? I skipped one. Thank you. So children can also use their pain as an excuse for inappropriate behavior. So you might have seen that happen in your family. So it is important to recognize their pain, but also explain to them and have them understand that they are accountable for their choices, no matter what they're going through, no matter how they're feeling. Let them know that their feelings are important and you understand that they're going through something very difficult in their lives, but they are still responsible for their actions and for the choices that they make. Reassure your child. So remind your child that they are loved and that you're there for them no matter what. It's very common for after you lose a loved one that your child may feel their sense of security is shaken. And if you have lost someone yourself, you probably are familiar with this feeling. So you can understand that in your child as well. Children also can sometimes fear that their other loved ones in their lives will die. So they might express that to you. And the last one, if you feel comfortable, ask with what your child asks, share with your child the plan if anything were to happen to you. Number 9, create rituals and new family traditions. So rituals can give your family ways to acknowledge your grief, and they also honor the memory of those who have died. Some of the things that you might already do as a family are lighting candles in memory of those who have passed away, recognizing special occasions like birthdays and anniversaries, or also if you have a loved one that really liked celebrating like a certain holiday, just when that holiday comes up throughout the year, just making sure that you remember how you used to celebrate that holiday with your loved one. Sharing stories about those who have died, and also you can also find a charity to volunteer with, and you can do this as a family, or if your children are a little bit older and you feel comfortable and they feel comfortable going on their own, they can also volunteer on their own with their siblings at a charity. And finally, be patient. You and your child are grieving, and grief is a very intense feeling that we go through in our lives. So usually it takes longer than we might want. So just be patient with yourself, be patient with your children. Also recognizing that with grief come lots of personal changes, and same thing, be patient with the feelings that you're going through. Children tend to they tend to ask you the same questions over and over, especially when they're going through grief and loss. So just be patient with them. They might ask you the same thing over and over, or they might want to hear the same details more than once. Try to be as patient as you can when you're answering their questions. And finally, spend time with your child. You both are continuing to grow and change, and this is a normal part of grief as well. So just be as patient with yourself as possible as you continue to go through your life. So like Ms. Argo had said, if you do have questions, feel free to either write a comment on the YouTube video, or you can also contact us, and this is our contact information for all three of us, phone numbers and emails as well. And if you would like more information or resources on mental health, you can contact the SAUSD Mental Health Line, which is 657-290-9527. If you don't feel comfortable calling directly, you can always give me a call or any of us, and we'll be happy to provide more information about the mental health line or any other resources in the community, or give them a call as well and connect you through that way. Do you ladies have anything else to add?
No, I don't think so. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you for your time.